particularly a fair wage. She can look after her family, but it builds her self-esteem. It gives her a voice in the community. It gives her a voice in her home. It gives her some status. That's why 10,000 Villages uses 70% of the producers of our products are women. So 10,000 Villages is a nonprofit fair trade organization. We're the largest and oldest one in North America. We now have 50 stores across Canada, and they're all staffed in large part by volunteers. We have hundreds of festival sales every year, all staffed in large part by volunteers, and online shopping. And 70% of those products are made by women. Now, we started as a very small dream. One woman in 1947, Edna Ruth Byler, went to Puerto Rico, and the children were dying of malnutrition. The women had a great skill of needlepoint, and but no market. So she brought product back to the U.S. with her, with the idea of providing these women with a fair income by selling their product and empowering them to make a difference in their own lives. And that's what we grew from. Lots of volunteers, lots of years of hard work, small dream, really changing people's lives. Now, all the producer groups we work with, and we work with about 130 groups in 35 different countries. And some of the groups have 400, 1,000 people working for them, 4,000 even, or 20. So they all pay fair wages. They're all part of the fair trade philosophy. And one of those is that women in the organization have an equal voice and equal pay to the men in the organization. And they work beyond just paying a fair wage. They work at empowering the women, their employees, their communities through different steps. So I'm going to just go through this is such a small sampling of our products, just to tell you some quick stories. This picture frame comes from Nepal. It's a wonderful group that started making paper out of water hyacinth and leaves and recycled cotton and things like that. But they use part of their products to support community, or their profits, community projects like the Send Your Daughter to School program, where they opened 5 schools in 5 different communities. The girls all had backpacks saying, "Send your daughter to school." Now, these were all the very lower caste women, young girls who are very often sent to work in brothels in India because there's no income for them. So they wanted to stop that. When you educate a woman, you give her all kinds of choices and better status. So they were educating these girls, found that the poorest girls in the villages still weren't being sent, went out, found those very poorest girls, went to their families, said, "You send your daughter to school, we'll pay you a small stipend." So not only did those girls end up going, but everyone else was a little wealthier and could look and say, "That girl's going to school, she's poorer than our child, we must send our daughter to school too." This comes from a group in India called St. Mary's, Hindu, Muslim, and Christian women working together doing embroidery, and we have gorgeous $150 tablecloths. They have access to maternity care, to pharmacy, to classes, to sewing classes, and they're really making a huge difference also in the political atmosphere, the religious atmosphere, because they're all working together. And they work from home, but they come in twice a week for quality control and new projects. This is shea butter. Now, a lot of you have probably seen shea butter in tiny little amounts in cosmetics, and they raise the price incredibly. And shea butter has long been known by African women to make it's great for the skin. This is what it comes from in a fruit with a little nut in there. From a shea nut like this, they make shea butter. It's very labor intensive. Women were not getting value added from the cosmetic companies, so CECI, a Canadian organization, got us involved. The women now make this great shea butter. There's 4,000 women involved in this. They get marketing help. They get assistance in how to make a better shea butter, look after the trees, look after their families. Women are standing up in meetings in their communities. They've got status in their families. They're buying bicycles with their income. They're running for public office. The woman who started this is a Christmas streamer made of palm leaves in India. She was married at the ripe old age of 13 and had an abusive husband, wasn't looking after them, and she took matters in her own hands. Not only started this organization, but she's brought schools into the district for males and females, continuing education, improved the roads, brought in new roads, clean water, and she teaches gender equality in one of those schools. And her proudest achievement is that her children are, her children are still, the youngest at the time I heard her interviewed was 21. and still going to school and still unmarried. And her proudest achievement is that that's happening in her community, spreading and around. The girls are going to school, they're getting married later. This comes from Bangladesh. Women, I gotta rush through this. Guatemala, Peru, finger puppets, and my water whistle seems to have disappeared, or I didn't bring it. Women working at home who can look after their crops, look after their children while they're earning an income. This hot mat and my earrings are made of newspaper by women in Philippines who live in terrible housing where the government put them as temporary housing in 1979, and they're still there. The group is working with them on establishing business and getting them products and getting title to their land, and this little bit of income helps their children go to school. The group here I got to visit in Laos. This is just one example of some of the silk we sell from them. President Quezon, president of a communist country, deeded them 40 hectares of land for 30 years so they could get the silk industry growing. Very much of that is women run, women doing the weaving, the dyeing, things like that, because he had such confidence that this could change the economy in Laos from something based very much on opium growth to silk. Jams and chutneys from Swaziland, women who are suffering from HIV and AIDS, just incredible stuff. This is also this is dried fruit that comes from Colombia, women who are refugees living in the slums because of the violence going on there. We sell a lot of product. Someone makes all of it. When we shop fair trade, ask fair trade, talk fair trade, or volunteer for fair trade, we make a difference. We have the power to empower. We can give women a voice just in the way we shop.